How's it going, everyone? It's K Lumid here, and today we're going to be talking about The Little Mermaid 2 Return to the Sea on the PlayStation 1. Now, I have never seen the sequel to The Little Mermaid. In fact, the first time I watched The Little Mermaid was just actually a couple years ago. I had never actually seen it before. So, I still haven't seen the second one. This game is based actually on both. You actually start off playing through the first Little Mermaid, and then it goes into the second Little Mermaid and introduces you to new characters. It introduces you to Ariel's daughter, introduces you to a new villain called Morgana, and you basically are playing the second movie, I assume. You get little clips from the second movie, so I feel like I actually know what the second movie is all about now that I played this game, honestly. Maybe I should go watch it. Maybe it's actually not too bad, but the video game itself, it actually plays pretty well for the most part. I enjoyed the levels. They're pretty simple. I do like the control scheme for this game quite a bit for whenever you're just doing your regular swimming around. It plays similar with how the character moves and everything in water. It plays similar to how Knight's Journey into Dreams controls, where it's kind of like floaty. Your character can do like perfect circle patterns and everything. It feels really good, and it definitely feels like it was made with the underwater physics in mind. So I think that they did a good job with the way that this game controls. And in terms of its looks, this is the first Little Mermaid game that went into 3D, I believe. And it looks pretty good. I actually like the way it looks quite a bit. Graphically, it's not bad. It actually holds up pretty well for a PlayStation 1 game. So I do have to give them props for that. You can tell what everything is. You can tell what all the characters are. King Triton looks really cool on his throne and all that. So all that stuff looks really good. And like the other PlayStation 1 Disney games, or at least like a lot of the other ones, there's scenes from the movie as well that you can unlock as you play through the game, and it will, if you haven't seen the movie, it will kind of key you in on what's going on. And this did a pretty good job. Like I said, I had never seen the second movie before, but I was able to follow along with the story perfectly well and understood everything that was going on. So they did a good job of putting it all together into a nice little package. And I actually like the regular levels a lot in this game, but I don't like the boss fights. There's a couple boss fights in this game, and they're just kind of clunky, if I'm being honest. The worst one was definitely when you're playing as Ariel fighting Ursula. It's like the finale of the first movie, and you're basically playing that, but you have to throw these potion bottles at Ursula to hurt her, and you're supposed to basically use your tail and smack them into her, and it would not register it half the time. Half the time I would press the button, it was just like, nope, we're not going to do it. Nope, I'm not going to register it. And it was really annoying because there's these red bottles that are falling down, and those hurt her, but then there's these blue ones, and if you accidentally hit those at her, it will heal her. And Ariel had no problem smacking the blue ones at her and healing her, but for some reason the red ones would not work no matter what I did. So I don't know why it was so finicky about that boss fight, but it wasn't great. And then the very last boss fight, when you are playing as Melody and you're facing Morgana, it just is really clunky. You know, it's not a polished boss fight. And that's a kind of a shame, because the rest of this game feels like it's pretty well polished. It plays very well. It's just the boss fights, for some reason, it's like they just didn't quite polish them the way that they needed to be done. They didn't quite get the controls down like how they should be. But even, honestly, there's some land levels in this game where you're playing as Melody and you're running on land. And even those levels feel a little bit off as well, I do have to admit, because for some reason they made the jump button triangle, which is a really weird choice for a default jump, but that's what they did. They made it triangle. You don't have really any attacks at first. You then eventually pick up rocks, and you can throw rocks at like crabs and stuff like that, and that makes sense. I was fine with that. But it felt like the controls were very backwards for some reason on some of these levels. The swimming levels, it didn't matter. It felt like they had it perfect for the swimming levels. It felt like they were spot on with it, but for some reason, whenever it was an on-land level or it was a boss fight, it just didn't quite feel right. So that's probably my biggest complaint of this game. But I do like the way it looks, I like the way it plays, and in terms of Little Mermaid video games and how much fun I had with this one, I think that this one is not as good as the original Nintendo Little Mermaid game. It is better than the Sega Genesis version by a little bit, so it's still a good game. But that NES version, the original Nintendo Little Mermaid game, it holds up a lot better than all of these, if I'm being honest. But this is not a very long video game. You can play through the actual main story in probably about an hour. For some reason, every single Little Mermaid game that I've played is super short. I don't know why that is, but this is no different than the other ones. This is also a short Little Mermaid game. It's not a big deal, but it is something that you may want to consider if you are looking at this game and wanting to buy it for a certain price. You know, shorter games I usually try to get for under $10, and you can probably find this game for less than $10. I think I found it for less than $10 when I picked it up, so definitely try to get this game for cheap since it's not super long, but there is some replay value. You can go through and collect some of the collectibles that you missed. There's some coins that you can collect in the level, and if you get all the coins, you get a pearl, and you have to collect 5 pearls throughout the entire level anyway, so you have to find 4 regular pearls throughout the level, and then by collecting all the coins, you'll get that the 5th pearl that you need, and then those pearls will eventually go to unlocking mini-games. And I played some of the mini-games. I'm not a fan of a lot of these kind of tacked-on mini-games that these 3D platformers will throw into it a lot of times, especially these movie tie-in ones. It feels like they always have like these little mini-games thrown in. And I think it's cool that they do it because it is just like, here's extra content, you know, enjoy. But at the same time, it just usually isn't that good. It's nothing that crazy. And the minigames in this, they're not that great either. You know, I played a couple of them. I played the orchestra one, and it's basically a rhythm game, but it's just a really slow-paced rhythm game, if I'm being honest. And you're supposed to be recreating the music from the movie, but the music sounds terrible. For some reason, it doesn't even like sound good with the instruments that you're adding into it by, you know, playing along with the rhythm. So I don't know what they were thinking with that. It sounds terrible. I don't know why they did it, but they did. So I'm not a big fan of that minigame. And then the other minigame's okay. It basically puts you on an ice block, and then you are balancing on top of a snowball, and then there's 3 other characters that are balancing on top of a snowball, and you have to try to knock the other characters off of that ice block. There's similar mini games in things like Mario Party or even the Crash Bash and stuff like that. So if you play games like that, you probably know what I'm talking about. It's okay, but again, it's just, you know, it's not necessary, and it doesn't really add much to the gameplay. That's not something that I would ever really go back and play, if I'm being honest. If I'm going to go back and play this game, I'm probably just going to play the main story missions, because I did enjoy those. The mini games, not so much. So overall, what is my thoughts on this game? Is this game worth it? I'd say that this video game is worth it on 2 conditions. 1, you're either a Disney fan, or 2, you're a Little Mermaid fan. If you are a fan of those 2 things, or either one of those things, you'll probably want it for your collection. But if you're just looking for a good video game, while this game I do think is good, it also does help that it is a Disney video game, and I do like Disney video games already. So for me, it is kind of one of those things where, yeah, I'll probably enjoy it more than the average person. If you're not a Disney fan, you're probably not going to enjoy this as much as I did. But since I enjoy Disney, I like this game. I thought it was fun, and, you know, hearing the music and everything from the movies and everything, I always enjoy that. It always reminds me of Disneyland or Disney World whenever I play it. So whenever I play any Disney game and I start hearing Disney music, I'm just like, Disney World memories. So that's part of the thing I always like whenever I'm playing these games. It's just it's a lot of nostalgia and stuff for that. So overall, I think that this is a fun game. I think that's fun, and I definitely recommend picking it up if you are a Disney fan. If you're not, maybe look for something else, or go pick up the original Nintendo Little Mermaid game, because that one is good whether you're a fan of Disney games or not. That one's actually fantastic either way. So there we go. But thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Go check out The Little Mermaid 2 Return to the Sea on the PlayStation 1, and I will talk to you in the next one. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.